but quite a change in the weather yesterday, that's for sure. But we really need the rain.
Yeah, I don't think we got much though, did we?
No, I don't think we did
It
actually.
was this gray and rainy, but I don't think we really got
Yeah.
hardly any rain.
Were you out in it or
No, not really. No.
me? Yeah, I had a couple of showings, but
I
speaking
had
of,
that meeting with a client, but it
yeah,
was across the street, so
yeah,
it made it easy. We
and you
met
got
at
a big
fairgrounds.
and you got a big price reduction, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's exciting, right?
yeah.
Well, hopefully
Very.
that'll get the job done there. It's um yeah, I'm finding that the buyers are well, yeah, it's I've got some buyers that I'm working with that are kind of in that entry level condo market, and man, anything that we look at that's decent, they're selling it over the weekend at the open houses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I know that that segment of the market is like that, but I don't know that it's necessarily true for, well, although I'm seeing a lot of high-end single family going quickly like that too, if they're priced properly. It's such a price sensitive market. Well, I mean it always is, but it seems particularly so right now,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
And it's still really spotty too about what property, where it is, what price point, all of that. I mean, that I think we still have properties that are in demand with multiple offers on it when they come on, and other ones that are kind of sitting and stuff. So it's definitely still a spotty market, I think, don't you?
Yeah, it is, but I think well, I think it's all about staging, and there's kind of no margin for error on the pricing. I mean, it's like you got to price that right on the money, and what I've been telling sellers is, if anything, price it a little bit on the low side because, if you price it too high and it's not gone and over the weekend, you are in you are in trouble, man.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, well, gee, how come nobody wants it? Which I think you're running into a little bit on the listing you just got the price reduction on, maybe. Because you've had several people tell you that we really love this place, and then they sort of evaporate on you.
Yeah, and that was my discussion with the client, is that now that we're at the point where I'm getting lots of people that like it and spend time there and come back a second time but still don't make an offer, it's price. We're close but not close enough.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
so,
Well, good luck with that. I hope you're out of there this week. You certainly deserve it, and your seller deserves it too.
yeah, yeah.
So, um, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's a nice place, just yeah. uh it's got to, like you said, it's very price sensitive, so we gotta, yeah, gotta get in there. Yeah.
and I think I don't know. I mean, I went out on a listing appointment last week. It was an estate sale situation where the guy has lived there for 30 years, and particularly, I think, in the condo market, staging is so critical. But the problem is if you do anything, in a situation like that, you end up having to do everything, I think. I don't know. I'd kind of like to get your take on that actually, because I was at a little bit of a loss. Like, well, do you rip up carpeting, give it a fresh coat of paint, but then you realize you've got a 1968 bathroom and 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 I just don't really. And then, well, I mean, like, so one of the bedroom walls had that. Do you remember back in the 70s what did they call that stuff? It was a paneling, but it had um, like little holes in it and stuff like that. What do they call that stuff? It was very popular in the 70s, and it had been painted. Um, and so, do you remember what they call that stuff? They call it
what are you talking about? What, like on the walls, like
Yeah, yeah,
interior?
so it's a wood paneling, you know, I mean, it's real wood. It was a wood paneling, you know, wooden planks, but not like the stuff in the 50s that was the knotty pine that you see in all the basement rec rooms, not that stuff. But it was more like a thing from the 70s where it had um, holes in it and stuff, like where, you know, when you saw a plank of wood and you have the branches that come out of the trunk, and when they'd saw that off, you'd have those holes in the wood and stuff.
Hmm. Like the knots and stuff, or
Yeah, well, but they're actually like little holes. Well, never mind.
I don't know. Yeah.
There's a name for it, but I'm drawing a blank. I want to say
Like rough hewn or
it's not rough hewn, but it's just a kind of wood, I think, that they used. And yeah, anyway, never mind. But anyway, so the point is that
burlwood.
what?
Burlwood.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So the bedroom had this burlwood paneling on the one wall, and it had been painted over. So there's not much they're going to do there except for give it a fresh coat of paint. But well, anyway, I just was a little bit at a loss as to know what to tell them, because I'm just afraid that, well, if you start to do anything, then you end up spending $100,000 and do you right, you know, because then it makes everything else look that much worse, I think.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it just depends on the situation. I think there's a lot of times that just a fresh coat of paint makes a big difference.
Well, I agree.
But yeah, it depends if it's like, if it's something like you're saying, if the whole house needs to be redone, then it's kind of pointless. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like my townhouse over on Ravenswood, that's what we did. We put in fresh carpeting
Mhm.
and gave it a fresh coat of paint. But you know, it was, well, first of all, it wasn't that old,
Mhm.
and secondly, she had taken good care of it, so it wasn't that dated either. But this is like,
Yeah.
you know, this was like everything original from when the building was built in 1968. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
so
had a townhouse down in the South Loop once that down in uh near Soldier Field, you know, in the Willamette down there. At the time, that's when Mayor Daley was living down
oh,
there.
right over there on
Central Station is the name of the development. Yeah, they were
what,
really nice townhomes.
what was the
Beautiful
name of the
views.
development? I was talking over you.
Central Station.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I had a townhome listed there that the sellers had. I mean, it was in really good condition and it wasn't that old, only a handful of years old. But it was overly pink and they had like kind of a pinkish mauve carpet throughout it, like a really nice plush beautiful carpet, but it was kind of this pinkish color. And then the marble surround around the fireplace is the marble that had the pink veins in it.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
then the kitchen had like all the
Cherry
cabinets
floors,
were,
cherry
well,
floors.
no, there was no cherry in it, but it had all the cabinets were that kind of bleached oak, sort of
Oh,
like a kind of like an old school white oak. But because everything else was pink and the walls were painted kind of a peach, it reflected, it looked like the cabinets were pink too, because
yeah.
it kind of like picked up all those pink colors. So the whole place was like pink. And I mean, it was a beautiful home in great condition and they were immaculate. But so it was really disheartening for them, for me to tell them, we've got to change the carpet, because if we change the carpet, all the other things are just like accent, you know, but right now it's like all you see is pink. And
Mhm.
the carpet was in such good condition and they spent so much money on getting like the best carpet you could get and the high-end pad and all that. And they're like, well, people could, you know, get their own carpet if they want a different color. I'm like, it's not, that's the, you know, the problem is they can't walk in here and feel themselves here because it's like a pink palace, you know, they just can't do it. And we had been on the market for a little bit trying it,
Mhm.
but I talked them into changing the carpet and we just went for a low grade and I always told people, especially back then, oatmeal was what I always told them. The color to get is
Right.
oatmeal.
Well, that was really popular. That Berber carpet. What are you talking in the
This
90s?
wasn't Berber, but the oatmeal color. I was
Oh,
like, because I always went, well, what color? Like, well, there's lots of kinds of beige and taupes and all that. I'm like, oatmeal. That's the color you're looking for. And they just brought like Empire in, and they did kind of just the lowest grade plush, but lowest grade like oatmeal colored carpet.
mhm.
Completely changed the place, sold right away.
Yeah.
And
Unbelievable.
it's
Yeah.
hard sometimes to take out something that's good,
And
you know.
replace it with something kind of
Yeah,
cheap.
but it's all about how the place feels when you walk in, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that is when you say oatmeal, did it have a texture to it, like little flecks of color, or was it just a
It
solid?
can. That's just kind of because everybody was always asking, well, what color? Because, in every company you go to and every maker has, they call them a million different names.
Right.
Not, and it's what's on sale at the time and stuff. It's not like paint color where you can always get that color, it's that specific and it's a number, and
Mhm.
anybody can recreate it. And the
Mhm.
carpet is different. So I've always just told them oatmeal is the color.
Mhm.
Sometimes you can get it with the little specks or the variation, which is good too, but
Mhm.
just that's the neutral color that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because like beige can be really bad, like a cream color
Yeah.
isn't
Well,
always
I
good.
this last summer, I had a client who we had the stager come in and she replaced the carpeting, and the carpeting was shot. It needed to be replaced. And she put in a kind almost white carpeting, which I I was really surprised that the stager used that, because that is so unforgiving. A white
Mhm.
carpet like that without, just a solid white without anything in it. It's like the minute you the minute you do anything, it's like you see that. But I don't know why I don't know why she used that. And actually the fellow that ended up buying it said, well, I'm gonna replace this, but it was just too hard. But yeah, speaking of Empire, I mean, gosh, I've used them a couple of times now in the last few months. And what's great about Empire is they will come out the next day if you're like waiting, like because the carpeting's always like the last thing to go in after you're done fitted, with the painting, and you've got all the little things. Then before you're ready to go on the market, then the carpeting's got to come in. And I've had two different sellers now who have had put down deposits for carpeting. And then when it was time for the company to come put the carpeting in, they're like, well, sorry, we can't do that for another 2 or 3 weeks. So we ended up scrambling and getting Empire to come in and do it, which was great. They're not necessarily,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not necessarily recommending or referring them, but because this last job they came in, they measured wrong, and they actually ended up running out of the carpeting.
Oh,
And then they told my client, well, we're going to have to come in and replace everything and start over again with all new carpeting. And she had like, maybe a couple. Yeah, I mean, it was like a last staircase. It was like the staircase up to the
mhm.
roof, to the roof deck, that they where they rent. It was like 2 steps on the staircase.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't even
That's
it wasn't even the whole staircase. And they're like, they wanted to redo the whole house, and we're like, no. And she ended up having to get a manager involved. I mean, it turned out to be a big snafu. So they
Remember, this is the good stuff.
this is the good stuff. So, but I'm just saying, the good thing about Empire,
Just saying.
the good thing about Empire is they will come out the next day and do it. The bad thing about Empire is if you run into a problem, you got a problem, baby.
Yeah, they can be really easy for a
Yeah.
client,
And I don't know that they're necessarily affordable either. I mean, I think they charge a lot for what they do, but
Yeah, there's always negotiating room, that's for
but on
sure.
the other hand, with all the supply chain issues and stuff, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this has happened to me twice now in the last 6 months, where they've had a carpet guy all lined up, and either they can't deliver it for some reason. I think it's they don't have I think it's because they don't have the workers, or I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know what it is. Have you run into that at all, or no?
Uh, no, but I don't know that how much carpet I've been in or flooring at all been involved with recently.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
so
yeah,
much. Yeah,
yeah.
so I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
things are still not quite back to where they were pre-COVID, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it seemed like a lot of people during COVID found other means of making a livelihood. Then,
Yeah.
I mean, it'll straighten out eventually, but
So we were talking about colors a while ago and paint colors and stuff. So
yeah.
my
Mhm.
sister's designer that was up here redoing her condo has this little toggle thing, and I've heard it's fairly common, but that's the first time I had seen somebody use it. So she was checking to see what color the walls were already painted in my sister's place. And I told her, I said, my guess is it's repost gray, because I know the colors now, grayish and repost gray and like all the common colors. But she has a little thing that sticks on her iPhone, and you hold it up to the wall and it tells you the paint color.
No kidding.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
You
And then
mean,
when I brought it up with some
it's
people,
like
they said it's pretty common now, but I've never seen it.
you
Yeah.
mean it's some kind of a gadget that you attach to your phone?
Yeah, it just sticks in the bottom, like, where you, the jack on your phone, it just sticks in that, and it's got like a little wire about that long, and like a little, just, I don't know if it's like a little camera or what it is, like a little, just like a little end, and she holds it up to the wall
Hmm.
and it tells you what color it is.
Huh. That's interesting. Well,
Yeah,
the problem with that is if the paint's been on the wall any length of time, it fades. So you can't just like go in and patch.
maybe, yeah, depending on the paint, but it knew what it was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, then you end up having, I mean, you usually if it's been on the wall
Yeah.
any length of time, you end up usually having to repaint the whole wall. But
She said that sometimes it'll say it's either repost gray or this gray, and because they're kind of like the next
green.
one
Yeah.
down, so maybe it can be in between or whatever. So maybe that's if it's faded or something, or it's a blend, or it's like they painted repost gray over another gray or whatever. But it basically knows what it is, like where you're at, and then and has the numbers for it. So
Huh.
yeah.
What
So
is
you can go
repost gray? I don't guess I know what repost gray is.
it's one of the most common like
Do you think?
state
Do you
colors.
think? Do you think repost?
No, repose, repose.
Oh, Rose Gray. Sherwin-Williams. Here we go. Oop, where is it? I
Yeah,
want.
it's kind of a typical gray with a little taupe in it. That's like,
Oh, okay.
uh,
I understand that there's a big thing now about, I guess it's a Sherwin-Williams color,
mhm.
but I guess there's a big thing now about gray floors now. I don't know. This is what
Firm or again them.
against them.
No, yeah.
So which one is it?
Well, that's showing you all the things that go with repost gray. That's not
Hmm,
that's
okay.
not that's the color scheme you're looking at.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know. I mean, is gray here to stay for another 5 years, do you think? Or is it going to be one of these things?
They've been saying for 5 years that gray's out, but I haven't seen it going away. So I mean,
Yeah.
I see, a few places that aren't gray, but basically I think people are still drawn to the gray. So I don't know.
Well, what I'm finding is it's not necessarily gray like what you're saying, but maybe it's like a sage green or kind of a grayish blue, so like with the gray overtones, it's not maybe so much
Mhm.
gray.
I'm seeing a lot of colors like that and more of the accent colors and cabinet colors and accent walls and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm still seeing the kind of grayish, walls. And they've been pushing for a while. The designer has been saying they're going back to the whites and like the off whites and the beiges and all that. But other than in design stuff, I haven't seen it in, trending and popularly into homes, into regular people's homes. I haven't seen that yet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, now, we go into kitchens that were done in, 2010 with the cherry floors and the dark espresso cabinets and the black or the uba tuba granite and it's like, oh, this kitchen was done in 2009, wasn't it?
Well, that's more from the 90s, but it carried over into that. Yeah.
Well, the uba tuba, but I mean that those,
But even the cherry was long before that, but people were still doing it because,
yeah.
kind of behind the trends or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, cherry floors were a big thing right around 2010, 28, right after the big crash. I mean, well, they were doing it probably what, 2005 to
Well, in
two
my market, they were about 15 years earlier.
cherry floors.
Yeah, yeah. That was cherry floors were kind of already out by 2010 in my market. Yeah. Dark floors were in, like espresso, like you said, but cherry was kind of an 80s, 90s thing. Yeah.
Well, that's not. I beg to differ with.
You're out in the neighborhoods though, so it is different. But yeah, the cherry floors were not only not
I mean,
popular in 2010 in my market,
I can't
they
even
were
begin to tell you how many condos I've shown in the last 3 or 4 months that were done in 2008, 2010. They were conversions or built or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, okay.
yeah. I hear that would have been taboo actually by 2010.
And what were they doing in 2010?
Espresso, like the
That's what I'm
chocolate.
talking about. I said the
No, no, no.
espresso.
You keep saying cherry. You keep saying cherry.
No,
Those
I
are
said cherry
different.
floors, but the espresso cabinets.
No, I'm talking about floors. The espresso floors were in, and not cherry. That red color was really out and didn't go with anything anymore. Didn't go with the grays and the beiges and everything that people were doing. So yeah, it was very taboo at the time. But the espresso floors were in.
Well, I was talking the espresso kitchen cabinets. I think the espresso kitchen cabinets were around for about maybe 3 years tops. They were really popular though for those 3 years.
I still
Anyway,
see them some, but mixed with like white uppers and white or something like that.
yeah, now it's more the two-tone thing where the lower cabinets will be dark and the upper cabinets will be light, and they'll do that. And I've seen those in both in grays and in more warm colors, more brown, like chocolate
Yeah.
brown and that those colors. But anyway, well, we're never going to resolve this debate because. But yeah, the gray is still very much in. But
Everybody can vote. Send us your opinion.
yeah, send in your opinion. But well, the other thing.
When did cherry floors go out?
When did cherry floors go out? But the other thing that I was going to say is, I was over in England in May, and one of the things I noticed is that they were into very bright accent walls, like dark navy blue or like bright mauve, as an accent, or almost like a banana yellow, really bright colors, which I found interesting. I don't think that that's really caught on here so much. I don't know if that's something. Well, I was thinking back in the 90s, it was all the Southwest, the pales, the Southwest colors, the turquoise and the peach. And that was kind of in the late 80s, early 90s, right?
I was gonna say, to me, that's more 80s, but yeah,
Mhm.
maybe held over some into the 90s, but it was more of an
kind of like what you were saying at the beginning about the pink and the coral color.
They had the little ladders on the walls, the wooden ladders.
And the fake cactus. The fake saguaro.
That's how Stump's family's condo is down in Tucson, right? Because his mom did it all in that. So it's, yeah, like all Southwest, everything, and yeah, and the green and pink sort of stuff.
And who was the artist back in the late 80s? Every condo that you'd go into, it was there was an artist.
O'Keefe or something.
No. It was, it came up from South Beach, I think. It was kind of a South Beach, Florida look. But,
Hmm.
McKinsey or McKinney or something like that. It's like every condo had to have this particular artist.
I don't know who you're talking about. Hmm.
No, I'll have to look it
Look
up.
it up and report back next week.
I will. Well, I'll look it up and I'll post it on the page.
Okay.
But there was kind of a distinctive look, and every condo, every townhouse we showed had to have, along with the Southwest colors, had this particular artist, his print on the wall.
So, my mom worked for big developers out in California back in the early 2000s,
Uh-huh.
and back at the turn of the century.
Yeah, the turn of the
Um,
century.
And the model homes, were, it became very formulaic on all model homes, not just with their company, nationwide.
Oh, I think that's still true with the gray.
But yeah. But we're just not, it's not in our market because we don't have subdivisions, developers.
Oh, right. Well, right. But yeah,
So we're not
but I mean,
used
I
to that.
can't, it's like you look at these pictures online, it's like, oh my God, have I seen this property for 50,000 times yet? But anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, but the National Builder magazine that my mom, subscribed to or whatever, I was reading a couple of times, and they reviewed different, homes builders, developments around the country. And then they have a breakdown of the model, and it's tongue in cheek because they all know this is how you have to do it. But there was certain criteria, and one of the criteria was the number of poultry in the kitchen. And so, because it was a selling thing and there was some sort of psychological selling thing, so they would have
What do
like
you mean
ceramic,
poultry?
I'm describing. So they have like ceramic turkeys that were cookie jars, and they would have wallpaper that had chickens or turkey or some kind of fowl on them. And some of them had the wallpaper borders around the top that was just like all chickens, or hens or whatever, and or little chicks. Like, it was, you had to have this stuff in the kitchen for the homes to sell. It's the weirdest thing. But they would have the number of poultry in the kitchen, and often it was like 8, 10, 15, because they had different like things on the shelves or whatever. But sometimes it was like 470 because they counted all of the chickens around the borders and stuff. And many of the winning developments had like hundreds and hundreds of poultry in the kitchen. It's the weirdest thing. Yeah.
Well, I remember I think this was the early 2000s, maybe it was the late 90s with the spotted cow thing, the cow spots. You had to have cow spots, like purses or shoes or like fabric. It would be
Okay.
the white with with the brown or the black spots like cows have. But
Okay.
you don't remember that. And
Again, you're not far from me, but sometimes I think our markets are very different. You had to have the cow spots.
cow spots. There's probably a legitimate name for them, but something, how do you say cow in French or whatever? But then one of my fix and flip guys, the fellows that moved out to Brooklyn, he always maintained that lemons sold houses. He had to have a bowl of he'd go to Target and get those, the paper mache ones or whatever, and have a bowl of lemons on the kitchen counter. And
the designer put a bowl of dried limes on my sister's table.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what she just put in there. Yeah, they're dried limes.
Yeah. Citrus sells homes.
Yeah. In Chicago, I guess, and everywhere else, it's poultry. Chickens sell homes. Yeah.
Chicken sell home.
But sure enough, but my mom worked in all these big, really successful developments, even like high end too. Over what do you call it? Not manufactured homes. Like there's a word for like the subdivisions where the developers all build them. I can't think of the word, but yeah, and all of that, even there were most of those she was selling were over $1 million for, this, like I said, not manufactured homes. I can't think of the word of it, but cookie cutter subdivision homes were well over $1 million, like on golf
Not
courses.
prefab. You don't mean prefab.
No, it's when the developer builds them all their, like spec homes. I can't think of
Yeah. That's like you have the Orleans model and you have the
right.
model.
Yeah, there's a word for that. It's not manufactured. It's something like production homes. That's what it's called.
Oh,
Production homes.
okay.
So, but in production homes, like even in those high-end ones, they had to have the chickens in the bottles.
Well, now let's just take a step back here. Now, when you're talking Southern California, starter homes start at about $1 million.
This was Northern California and outside in the new suburbs of Sacramento, where they were building homes where nothing had ever existed before.
Yeah.
This wasn't.
Sacramento is still pretty. I mean, I think Sacramento price.
Now those homes would be twice the price, but this was, 20 years ago. But yeah, and 45 minutes from downtown, you know what I mean?
Well, that whole Central Valley is not California the way when people say California, that's a different universe. That Central Valley where Sacramento is. It's very
well. Sacramento's north of the Central Valley, but it's kind
but
of.
it's that same. It's the same.
Yeah.
Demographics, I think.
But a lot of the Southern Californians were moving there at the time, so they actually had to develop the homes for them. So. Like landscaping, they put in palm trees and stuff like that, where a year before they wouldn't have, but because of the influx of Southern Californians, they changed the looks, the designs, and especially the exterior and the landscaping and everything was changed to like welcome the Southern Californians that were and moving up en masse. Yeah.
Well, I had cocktails with a client last week, and he's actually in the process of moving to Ensenada, Mexico, which is a big expat community. And he was down there in January to kind of scope things out. And I mean, the Southern California real estate prices have gotten so out of hand that people that work, the service industry people, I mean, they can't afford to live there.
Some of the companies have been either recruiting or offering to their employees. They're putting stuff in Phoenix, and then they've even bought up like homes and stuff in Phoenix for them to live, and they fly them in and out of LA. Yeah.
Well, you're not talking like hospitality industry people.
No. I'm talking like big companies, but they're still, their employees can't afford to live there anymore. And so they were losing it, but instead of moving the company, they actually moved their people, and they have like, so they would be like in the office 3 days a week or something, and they fly them. They have like chartered
like shuttle planes or whatever.
Yeah, they fly them in and out of Phoenix, and and then they might have like a satellite office there or something, but they're flying them in and out, like depending on their role or whatever, 3 days a week or something, and then return them home to Phoenix. Yeah.
Well, the Phoenix real estate market is really hot though too, right?
Yeah, but compared to what it was, not compared to LA.
Right. But what I was going to say, so there was a big write-up in the paper actually back in February or March about this situation with Southern California, and like the bartenders and the people that wash your cars, those people. They live in Tijuana. Mm-hmm. And they commute up to San Diego or wherever, mm-hmm. and they're doing this on a daily basis, and so the border patrol has actually set up a system where they have a thing like an Easy Pass. I don't know.
I actually have a passport card. Which is what they use for that. Yeah.
You mean, you're
Talking
not,
about the ID, or are you talking about?
no,
Oh,
no, not the real ID. Yeah, I've got a real ID, but,
no,
uh,
no, no, real ID. I have a passport card. It looks like a
oh,
driver's license, but it works like a passport, and they created it for people that are often
oh,
going back and forth across
well,
the border.
right. But they also have a thing, it's like
Electronic thing.
an electronic thing. It's like an easy pass
Yeah.
that they just drive, that they can drive. And of course, the cost of living is, a fraction of what it is
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
California. So, but yeah, it's really interesting, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, all
I
right.
think we've gone
Well,
over.
I think we went over, we got carried away. We always do. Um, I'll look up that artist. I'll post it on Facebook in case anybody is interested.
Or maybe somebody will beat you to it.
And maybe somebody already beat me to it. And I think I'm gonna see if I can get George.
Oh, I know who you were talking about. That also, again, for me, that was way before then, though. Nagel. You talking about Nagel?
No, that was the street gal, right? She was a
No, no,
street.
no. That's Lee Goaty. I have her stuff. Nagel was and it was like very painted, streamlined looking. I'm gonna post it.
Nagel, I don't know.
Yeah, Nagel.
That doesn't even ring a bell.
Yeah, very popular. Let me here can I
Oh no, you're talking to the all the hair salons have it. That guy. No, not that. Not.
yes, that's Nagel.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not who I'm talking
And they were
about.
in all the houses there, but that was more
Well, all the hair salons have that, but no, not that.
back then all the houses had it.
No, I'm not talking. That's not who I'm talking about. But
Okay. Yeah.
I'll look it up. And no, it was very colorful. It was, like very primary colors and little block homes and stuff like that. Anyway, I'll find it and I'll put it up.
Okay.
McKnight. Yeah, that's it. No, that's not it. Is that it? That's not it. Okay, never mind. I'll look it up. Everybody have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.